What do you do with a practice painting where you like part of it, but the rest of it not so much? Hi, I'm Stevie. I think we all have these practice paintings laying around, and parts of it are good and parts of it are not so good. And you can see here, I even used part of my painting to practice something else. So, but I do like that rose in the middle. The one on the right is okay, but there's nothing around it, so I wouldn't use that. But I think there's hope for the one on the right. And I want to show you a few tricks today that you can do with parts of paintings that are good, but they don't really make a whole painting. There's other ways you can use them. So the first thing I'm doing is just getting a little more color in the center of this rose to give it more depth. And I'll probably do that in a couple of spots, but that's what jumped right out at me, was that I didn't feel it was dark enough in the center. So I just took a little more permanent rose, which I believe that's what I used to paint the rose, and I put it right down in the center, and then I just used water to blend it out. And I'm going to pick a few more spots to call attention to different parts of the rose. Try to get some more dark against light. So where you see that the light parts of the rose or where it folds over, I'll get some more darker pink underneath it to indicate more of a shadow. I like that already. And then I'll do the same thing with the green foliage beneath it. And when you do this, I've mentioned this in other videos, but get your color close up to the object you're painting and then blend it out with water so that you don't have any hard edges. So that's looking pretty good. I like that rose, and I think there's hope for it, at least to do something with it. But I want to also get some darker green color up right toward the petals of the rose, just to call more attention to those. And so what I'm doing right there is just getting a little water down first where I'm going to put the color, because it blends better that way. And I'm just using sap green with some, I think that is French ultramarine, and then a little bit of quinacridone burnt orange, just to darken it up a bit. And notice how I'm just kind of dabbing that color in. I'm not placing it in a straight line around the petal, just dabbing some in where I had wet the paper, and then rinsing my brush and just pulling that color out a little bit, just with clear water. So most of the color is right up next to the petal. Just blending it out a little more. I think I might want a little more of that color right up on that left side of the petal. For what I'm going to do, I can see a potential issue, but I'll get to that as I move along. So that's looking pretty good for now. So I had to go and dry it with my heat gun before I could do anything else. And now I'm going to add just a little more green color up on that left side. And here's the problem is I'm running into that rose that's next to it. I don't think that's going to be a problem as I move along, but I just have to be aware of that. I just wanted to create more of the shape of that petal before I finish. And I'll just let that go. Now back to the heat gun again, just to make sure everything's really dry, because what I'm going to do next is cut out that rose. And I just have my craft scissors. I couldn't find my small one, but I think this will do. And I'm going to carefully cut around that image. And when you do this, first try to make it smaller. It's much easier to cut around it if you can cut out the parts that you know you're not going to need. And then as I get up closer to the rose, I'll even leave a little white space in between the edge of the paper and the rose. And you can always trim that up later, but just so that you don't cut into your image too much. Just carefully going around. And it's going to be tricky with the foliage on this rose because there's such odd shapes at the bottom. So I'm going to start this way, and then I'll see what I can do with it. I'll see how it looks after I get everything cut out. Some of those shapes sort of look like leaves, but it is kind of an odd shape. I'm still cutting out the white there. Okay, so that's pretty much what I ended up with. And I thought, well, that is very odd at the bottom. It's kind of spiky looking. So I had another idea. I thought, okay, I'll make some leaves out of that. Especially since this is a rose. The leaves on a rose are nice. So I'll just quickly draw in the shape of a few leaves that could be rose leaves. And just going around to cut that out. I think I sped up my video when I was cutting so that you wouldn't get bored watching me do that. I don't really cut that fast. There I'm going back in, just trimming up the edge, and notice how I wiggle the scissors around to make it look like kind of ruffles on the roses. I think a smaller scissors would work better. I even have a craft knife that's good at making circular shapes, but I just didn't get that out for this video. So back to making my leaves. So I thought I could get 3 leaves in here out of what's left. So I'm making those shapes, and I want to connect those 2 leaves on the left, just so it doesn't, I thought it would look kind of silly if they weren't connected. So I'm just making sure they're connected, and then I'll cut around those. And so the image you end up with is a pretty cute little rose. So what the heck am I going to do with it? Well, I thought something like this, even though it's kind of small, I thought, wouldn't that look cute on a greeting card? You know how sometimes you go to the store and they'll sell Hallmark cards where there's an image or part of an image that is raised on the front of the card, and those cards are always a lot more expensive. But I thought I might be able to do something like that, and that's what I'm working toward. Just going back, getting a little more color on those leaves before I move on to my next step. And I thought it might be good to indicate some veins on these leaves since it's a pretty plain looking, the leaves are pretty plain looking. So I thought, oh, I'll add, I don't want to be too prominent with it, but I'll add some of the veins on the leaves. Here I'm just getting it a little more green color up against that rose just to make the rose pop out. And see how it does that? Just makes it stand out. I was going back and forth to my heat gun a lot because each step I wanted to make sure it was dry before I go back in and do something else so I don't get any blooms on the image. So there's the little image. There, I used my tiny little, I think that's a 1 or 2 brush. That's a Princeton brush. I can't remember if it's 1 or 2, but I'm just quickly indicating some veins on those leaves. I soften them up with water because I don't want them to stand out too much. But I think that helps them look like they're rose leaves. So there we have it. There's my little rose. So now I'm going to take that rose and show you a couple of different things. This is some cardstock that I had in my studio, and I just folded it to look like a greeting card. So there's the white one. And it looks pretty nice. Now that folded size would be roughly, 5 by 8.5, I believe. Yeah, 5 by 8.5. Or 5.5 by 8.5. And to make it look even more dimensional, I can mount it with these adhesive foam circles that I bought at Michael's. I think that's the Michael's brand, that Recollections. And a lot of crafters use those, but they're little foamy type things, but they're sticky on both sides. So you can affix it to your image on one side, then pull off the little top of the other, and it's sticky, and then just stick it down. And I do recommend using more than one. I just put one in here for the video, but it's good to use a few. But look how it stands out. Look how it stands up off the paper. And wouldn't that make a cute little card? And I just have some standard 6x9 envelopes at home that I would put those in. And then if you do lettering, you could do lettering around that, or put other images on. Or if you don't do lettering, I know you can buy stencils to do lettering, or even just print it on the cardstock first before you place the image down. Because that's a 65-pound cardstock. That will go through a lot of printers. But I wanted to show you how it looks on black cardstock. Look at that. Or it could be any dark color, not necessarily black. You can get cardstock in a lot of different colors, but doesn't that look really nice on the black cardstock? And I thought, oh, if you wanted to do a special card like that, how would you do lettering? But I have these Jelly Roll Moonlight pens. It has to say Moonlight. I think I bought a set of those Moonlight pens, and they are made to draw or letter on dark paper. And I have a piece of scratch paper I'm just going to show you, do a little demonstration of how it looks. But they're very bright colors, as you can see. And so they show up really well. Some of the other Jelly Roll colors would not even show up on black paper, but the Moonlight pens do. And so you could just take different colors or however you want to do it. Draw a few cute little flowers or something on there, a little message like happy birthday or congratulations. You could even use, if you have a gold pen, I think gold would show up, or I know the Posca pens do well on that too, because Posca pens are acrylic and they're opaque, so they'll show up really well. But any of those things you could do lettering with. So here I just wanted to show you, I pulled out another one of those little foam stickers and put it on just to show you how it would look with two of them on there. It really doesn't look any different, but it helps to hold the image better. So that's a nice little trick for using pieces of paintings that are really too nice to throw away. And wouldn't that make a nice little card? And then you could just print your greeting on a piece of white paper or vellum, and then just paste it on with some Elmer's glue or something. I use Elmer's glue a lot for that. Now here's another image that I like the one tulip, the tulip in the front, not so much the other two. So if I wanted to save that tulip and those leaves, I could do that and cut those out and put them on the front of a greeting card too. And that would look pretty good. So I would just do the same, I'm not going to cut it out here, but you've seen me do that, but it would be the same process. And here's my black greeting card again, just to show you the relative size, but this is a bigger image, so it would take up more of the front of the card. So that would make a really cute greeting card. So the other thing I wanted to show you though is I wanted to maybe think about adding 3 leaves if I cut it out. And even if I didn't want that 3rd leaf, I could decide that later on. But I needed to put a little highlight on those leaves. And I wanted to show you gouache. I don't know if you have gouache. Gouache is really opaque watercolor. And I have a tube of the Winsor Newton white. And white is really all you need for this, because you can mix gouache with your watercolor paints. I do it on a paper plate because I don't want it to get in with my watercolors. But I will pick up watercolor color. I picked up some yellow from my watercolor palette, and I'm just mixing it with the gouache on this paper plate. And since the gouache is opaque, when I put the color down on my painting, it will look opaque. And the other thing to know about gouache is that it gets darker as it dries, like acrylic does. So I probably didn't go light enough here, but I just wanted to show you the process, because it will darken from what you see here on the screen. But look how it makes a nice highlight on that leaf. And then you can treat it like watercolor. You can blend it. You can even blend it with watercolor, which I'll do here in a second, but you can blend it with water. and so that you can soften edges. But look how nice that looks for a highlight. I've done that many times to fix watercolor paintings where I had something that I didn't like or I needed to break up a lot of a dark area. I'll go in with a lighter color of gouache and fix that. And I like how it blends. Some people might say, well, couldn't you use acrylic for that? Yes, you could, but acrylic is shiny when it dries, so it's going to look different from your watercolor painting. Gouache tends to be more flat and opaque. So I much prefer gouache for this. And there you just saw me blending it with some of my watercolor. I picked up some dark watercolor to darken the bottom of that one leaf, and it just blended in nicely with the gouache. And here I'm getting some of this color on this leaf as a highlight. And I think I go back and add more dark color on this one too. And when I pick up the dark color, that's just my pure watercolor off my palette. So I'm just mixing the two together. And the reason you don't want to put gouache on your palette is that if it mixes in with your watercolors, it's messy and it'll make them opaque. So I just try to keep them separate. But there you go. See how that brightened up those leaves? And so now I could cut that image out if I wanted. But there's something else you could do, and I'll show you that in a minute. Now I want to switch to showing you something else. I had done these birds in watercolor and ink in a few years ago in a class I was doing with my friend Susie Powell. And so she had us drawing those birds. It's on 300-pound hot press watercolor paper. So I cut out one of those birds and added it to my little painting that you saw. I'll get back to that in a minute. But what if you had a painting that maybe you didn't want to cut out part of it for a greeting card, but you wanted to keep that painting. You liked it, but you didn't like all of it. Well, when I was in Susie's class, we did a little exercise where we did a painting of some poppies, and then we painted around it with black gouache. I actually used casein, black casein. I didn't have black gouache at the time. You could also use carbon black ink. That would look really nice. But what we did was we just painted around the parts that we didn't like and kept the parts that we did. And then I took that little bird and glued it to the bottom of the painting. And that makes a fun little painting. I thought it was very cute. But that's a nice trick for keeping a painting that you like where you don't like everything. You can always paint out the parts you don't like with gouache, or you could use casein if you have it. I just happen to have some. Or the carbon black ink, or some other really dark color. Anyway, there you have it. I hope these tips are helpful. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and think about subscribing. And thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it.